Why are there so many shows starring Muppets and dozens of movies too? They said they'd watch everyone and they mean it. It's something that they've got to do. So now they pledge you a lifelong commitment. The Muppets, Matthew and Sam.
Welcome to Commitment, the podcast where two friends have vowed to watch all things Muppets. I'm Matthew Gatos.
And I'm Sam Schultz.
And this week we are headed back down to Fraggle Rock as we continue watching Season 3 with episodes The Grapes of Generosity, Blanket of Snow, Blanket of Woe, and Pebble Pox Blues. But before we get to that, Sam, guess what I have for you?
Oh my gosh, what?
I have a little present. It's another
Give it.
5-star review.
Oh, wow, the best kind of present. It's almost our birthday, too.
It's almost our birthday.
Who knows what day this comes out? Next week's our birthday, maybe? 2 weeks from now?
You're hearing this a day before my birthday.
Oh, hell yeah.
So,
Happy birthday to Matt.
Hey, not yet to Sam. You got to wait for that one.
Nope.
But we actually, the title of this review is 60 stars. So, you know, the podcast reviewing caps out at 5 stars. But if they could, they would give us 60.
Is that because you used to rate Muppets out of 60 stars?
I think so. Remember those days?
That was so long ago. We've been through so much.
But this review comes in from O. Lambert, or O. Lambert.
Oh,
if you're
Lambert.
French. Oh, Lambert. Who said, commitment is delightful, often a bright spot of comfort on an otherwise gloomy day. Who knew I'd be laughing and learning this much? It's clear that commitment is a labor of love, and listeners are sure to grow to love both Matt and Sam and the Muppets they chat about.
That was really nice.
It is very nice. If I was gonna be nitpicky.
Oh, Matt.
What do you mean by grow to love?
The first day you meet your best friend, you don't know they're your best friend.
See, I took that as like maybe early on we were a little off-putting. And eventually
That
you'll
also-
warm up to us.
I would guess it's the other way around. Whereas
We're
it goes
more
on.
off-putting?
Whereas it goes on, we're just more and more specific and horrid in our own ways. People know too much about us. People busting on me for brushing my GD teeth. They said that was the most unappealing thing about me, or most unrelatable. What's that mean?
I think it's the...
Do people not like brushing their teeth?
I think it's more of a chore for most people. I think it's like, I guess I got to do this. Otherwise, people will judge me because I'll smell bad.
You know what? I don't rinse my mouthwash out anymore because of you.
Look at that. I'm saving your teeth
Yeah.
that were already they were doing fine.
They were great, actually. I've never had a cavity in my whole life, so...
Well, you might be sitting there thinking, wow, this is an old man conversation. And you'd be right, because we are two 35-year-old men who are about to turn 36.
Don't even say it. Yeah, but well, before you move on, thanks, O. Lambert. That was a really nice review. That was that was so nice. We're a beacon in a dark world.
Yeah, you might think there's no hope, but look to commitment.
Look to the big monster mouth, and inside of it, you'll find peace.
Crawl in, get inside there.
It's nice
cozy,
and warm,
a little
Yes.
moist, a little gooey, but embrace it.
You'll grow to love it.
But speaking of these old men chatting about Muppets, we do have a birthday coming up. Not a collective birthday, but a close enough together birthday that we often here on Commitment celebrate it together.
Mm-hmm.
I say often,
This is the
predictably once a
third-
year.
This is the third. Actually, yeah, because we've always done it. So I see what you're saying. It wouldn't be often at all.
You don't often celebrate your birthday. But if you haven't heard our birthday episodes before, what we do is that we each pick a thing sort of very loosely related to the Muppets for the other person to watch. And we surprise each other on this episode, the episode before our birthday episode, with our picks. And then next time we will discuss those picks. In 2021, the first time we did this, it was our 34th birthday. Remember that, Sam? Back when we were young bucks turning 34.
That sounds so old still.
In that episode, we talked about What About Bob, the movie directed by Frank Oz, and Puppet Master 3, Toulon's Revenge, a movie with puppets.
Was about puppets. I think there was one person who like moved a puppet's arm who had also moved a Muppet's arm or something like that.
Yeah, you tracked it down. You were like, I have to find a connection here somewhere.
Yeah.
And then last year in 2022, when we turned 35, we did a Halloween episode of Eureka's Castle called It Came From Beneath the Bed.
Mm-hmm.
And the puppet-based Scooby-Doo movie, Scooby-Doo Adventures, The Mystery Map, which featured a bunch of current Muppet performers performing the characters on that one. And this year, for our 36th birthday, Sam, what have you picked for us to watch?
Matt, I've picked Project Alf, the Alf movie. Because Alf's about to meet the Muppet Babies. And we'll have to know who Alf is.
I think Alf is close enough to a Muppet to be included in this idea.
I just also remember watching this movie when I was a kid and it making me deeply sad. So
great pick, Sam.
We'll see. Because it just begins and he doesn't have, like, his family is not in the movie and I don't think are ever referenced. So it's just kind of like.
Is this like a prequel to Alf?
No, he's at the end of the original Alf series. Okay, to set it up for you.
Spoilers.
At the end of the original Alf series, the last episode, he is captured by the U.S. government.
Oh.
It was intended to be a cliffhanger for another season.
And they got canceled?
But it got canceled.
Oh, no.
So then, several years later, 6 or 7 or something like that, they made this movie that picks up, I think several years later also, with Alf has been captured by the government for all these years. And he doesn't have any of his old friends anymore.
He's got Martin Sheen, though.
But he's got Martin Sheen. He's got Miguel Ferrer. He's got Egg Bagel Jr. Ed Bagley Jr. He's got Ed Bagley Jr. So I think it'll be okay. And he's a Muppet too.
All right. So I will say surprising pick.
Really? I actually have mentioned it a couple other times, and I thought I'm just gonna pick that.
Well, it seems like that full thing is on YouTube if anyone's interested in watching it there, but it's probably available elsewhere to maybe stream and rent. Oh, it's on Peacock. So if you have Peacock, you can watch it probably in higher quality than YouTube has it.
I think you can watch all of Alf, too. Me and my dad watched it. We were going to start watching Alf, and then we watched one episode, and then we were like, I don't think we should watch Alf.
Alf is one of those shows you shouldn't marathon back to back.
Yeah.
Because I think you very quickly realize the format, and you're like, oh... Yeah. This is what every episode's going to be like.
Yeah.
Well, interesting. I've definitely never seen this. It came out in 1996.
Made for TV movie.
Seems like, sort of a precursor to Muppets from Space. A little
That's
bit,
what I was
maybe.
Thinking also, too. You really don't remember this? Like, you don't remember seeing the ads for this all over the place?
I don't remember seeing the ads for it. I don't remember you ever mentioning it. So anytime you've said Project Alf, I've just glossed over, apparently.
Maybe it's just like you've been hypnotized to not remember Project Alf. It's like your trigger movie, and you'll start, like, assassinating people.
Yeah, the Alf-Turian candidate over here.
Yeah.
All right. Well, yeah, so the 1996 film, Project Alf, is what Sam's pick is.
Rated R.
It's not really, right?
I think it's rated G, probably.
Okay. I was like, I don't want to see a rated R Alf movie.
A made-for-TV movie that aired on ABC. Rated
Put
R.
the kids to bed. Alf's out for blood.
Back, bitch.
Interesting. All right. Well, we'll give that one a watch.
What do you got for us?
My pick is a little bit older. It's also a movie that I've mentioned multiple times on this podcast.
Okay.
It is a movie written and directed by someone we have seen multiple times in our watchings of this podcast. Seen on screen. It stars is generous. It features a Muppet performer in a cameo role. And it's a movie that I have said is maybe the most Muppety non-Muppet movie. It's 1980s, The Blues Brothers.
Oh, that is not what I thought it was going to be, but delightful.
Yeah, we got John Landis, who was in Muppets Take Manhattan, as the guy turning down Boffo Kermit. And then we have Frank Oz as a guy who works at the prison in the beginning of The Blues Brothers. Very, very briefly, but he's there. Mm-hmm. We got Dan Aykroyd and John Belushi, men who kind of hated the Muppets on Saturday Night Live.
They worked with them begrudgingly.
Yeah. So yeah, a very close to Muppets related movie. John Landis, obviously friends with, Jim Henson, Frank Oz. And yeah, I watched part of this movie a couple months ago again and was like, this has got to be my birthday pick because I really feel like this is one of those movies that could use some Muppets and you wouldn't really have a different movie.
No, not at all.
You could replace Carrie Fisher with Miss Piggy. You could replace, many people throughout this movie with Muppets, and the characters could kind of be the same character.
Not even remark upon the fact that they are Muppets.
No.
Yeah.
You could drop a Muppet in, and no one would bat an eye.
Yeah. I think the last time I watched this movie was at your house at a party where you had it on. Do you remember that?
Oh, so yes. So watching is generous then, because I think what happened was I had a Chicago themed birthday party where we had deep dish pizza and some Chicago old style beer. And I just had multiple Chicago movies playing on the TV, like Ferris Bueller and the Blues Brothers. So yeah, we did not sit down to actually watch it, but
just me and you. So we split a deep dish.
We kicked everybody else out.
Yeah.
Just sat there and watched
going, shh. We're trying to watch a movie.
So you can watch Blues Brothers on AMC Plus, which is not something I have. I do have the Blu-ray that I can loan you, Sam.
I think I also have it. But
okay.
I'll keep you updated.
And I think there is a theatrical and extended version out there. I was going to have us watch the theatrical because the extended is the theatrical is already over 2 hours long, and the extended I think gets close to Lord of the Rings length. So
I'm not sure I've ever seen the extended, but okay.
It doesn't add a whole lot, so I would say to skip that one. But yeah, so we'll be watching next time the 1980 film The Blues Brothers and the 1996 film Project Alf.
2 peas in a pod.
Everyone's always comparing these films. Finally, we can see why.
Same movie. That's what all the reviews say.
If there is one actor between them, I will be shocked. Maybe some random cop, guy who just always plays a cop in things.
What's a Donald Duck, whatever? One of the
Donald
band
Duck Dunn from the Blues Brothers. Yeah. Yeah, all those guys could be Muppets. They could just be the Electric Mayhem when they're getting the band back together.
Exactly.
They even start off at a little church when they decide to get the band back together, just like in the Muppet movie. It's a Muppet movie, folks. But we can talk more about that next time. For now, Sam, what do we watch this week?
First, we watched The Grapes of Generosity, which aired January 21st, 1985. Gobo goes out in search of the Grapes of Generosity, a magical cave fruit that Moki told him about that makes Fraggles generous. Gobo plans to bring them back to his friends, but he starts eating them on his way home and decides that they're actually too good to share. Red shows up at his house to ask if she can borrow Gobo's rock climbing trophy for some kind of sports-related ceremony, but Gobo declines. Red says if he won't give her the trophy, she'll win it back and leaves. Then Moki shows up and reveals that she didn't quite finish the Grapes of Generosity story. If a Fraggle doesn't share the grapes with their friends, they become weightless. She leaves and Gobo starts levitating around. Gobo appeals to Wimbley for help, and as they're doing that, Gobo catches wind that Red's trying to beat Gobo's rock climbing record and win back the trophy by climbing to some previously unclimbed height. So Gobo has to see this for himself, and he goes there, and Red has indeed climbed the unclimbable height, but she's also stuck. So Gobo uses his weightlessness to float to her and help her down. And that's that. Up in outer space, Doc builds a chair, Sprocket steals the chair, and they decide to share the chair. And that is also that. The moral, share or else. Next, we watched Blanket of Snow, Blanket of Woe, air date January 28th, 1985. First, I have to establish it's cold in and around Fraggle Rock. This is important, but I couldn't figure out how to say it more artfully than that. Unrelated, but also important, Moki has been fucking up a lot lately. She forgot to cover Lanford for the night, and the cold made him sick. She said she'd prep Red's ice skates for the big skating race, and she didn't do it, and Red twisted her ankle. She said she'd get Boober some radishes for a soup, and she just hasn't gotten around to it yet. And perhaps most importantly of all, she forgot to knit the trash heap a tarpaulin to keep her warm over the winter. Is a tarpaulin a tarp?
It is.
Okay. That's what I thought.
I don't know if it's a year thing or a country thing, but I know some people still call it a tarpaulin in certain parts of the world. I know
Seems
in
Canadian,
America, I had never heard the word tarpaulin before until I heard, some British person say it on a TV show. But yeah.
And then you're like, Why don't you just say tarp? It's tarp.
Yeah.
Got to make it all French.
It's tarp and aluminum. Get used to it.
If one of our Canadian friends can reach out and tell us if that's what they still call it there or if they ever did. Anyway, Moki goes up to check on the trash heap, but she's frozen solid, and Philo and Gunter worried sick. Moki vows to make it right and pours boober soup on the trash heap to try to thaw her out, but quickly discovers that she's going to need a hell of a lot more soup. Luckily for her, the Gorgs are cooking up a hell of a lot of soup and talking really loudly about how if anyone were to put greaseberries in the soup, it would ruin the soup. Also, double lucky for her, Junior has crafted a pepper shaker that looks exactly like Moki. So Moki pretends to be the pepper shaker, sabotages the soup with some greaseberries. The Gorgs hate the soup. They dump it on the trash heap. She thaws out, and somehow that takes 25 minutes to resolve itself. Up in outer space, Doc was supposed to write ad copy for Miss Ardath, but he didn't do it. So then he does it. Doc needs to have like a job description. I mean, like,
I'm so confused about what his role is at this inn. It feels like Miss Ardath may be taking advantage of him a little bit and just like, fix the pipes and write the ad copy.
Yeah, and it kind of seems like she's never in town. So he's just kind of like, he's just kind of keeping this whole operation together. So the moral of that, keep your promises or else. Finally, we watched Pebble Pox Blues airing February 4th, 1985, in which Gobo is an anti-vaxxer. His ass is sick with what Boober identifies as Pebble Pox, and even though Gobo keeps saying that he will not take medicine to get better, Boober knows that these pox are contagious as fuck, so he steals his nerves and prepares to travel to the Cave of Shadows to gather ingredients for the cure. Wembley goes with him, but Gobo's disregard for public health has exposed him to the disease too, and Wembley collapses partway to the Cave of Shadows. So Boober has to be double brave and drag a dying and contagious Wembley to the Cave of Shadows, which turns out to not really be as scary as the name suggests. He picks all the stuff and makes the cure, cures Wembley, and he brings the cure back to the Rock and saves the day. But wouldn't you know it, he's got Pebble Pox too. Up in outer space, Sprocket, well, and I guess he's fine. Like, they don't die or anything like that. He saved the day. Up in outer space, Sprocket's scared of the vet, but so is Miss Ardath's Airedale. Miss Ardath's Airedale. So Sprocket decides to be brave and go to the vet with her so she'll think that he is so sexy and tough. And also, Traveling Matt wants to have sex with a cute cow. The moral, don't let being scared stop you from doing what's right. I guess even if it exposes you to biohazards. And Gobo learns nothing. And also, it's still like January. Nothing happened in the world. There's no movies coming out or nothing like that.
Yeah, we're barely dipping our toe in with that episode into February 4th. But on January 29th, 1985, Jim wrote in his journal, Jennifer Connelly auditions for Labyrinth, cast within a week.
All right.
So we're getting closer. Apparently the search of who was going to play Sarah was a long search. Auditions started in the UK in April of 1984. So that's coming up on a year of auditions here. Apparently on July 5th, 1984, Helena Bonham Carter auditioned.
Wow.
Apparently she was listed as a potential candidate, but they thought she was too dark and cynical, which color me shocked.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
They also decided they wanted Sarah to be played by an American actress. So then they switched over auditions to the U.S. And I want to name some of the names here for you, Sam, of people who also auditioned to play Sarah in Labyrinth.
Okay.
We got Jane Krakowski.
Who's that?
30 Rock.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. This was my main goal of this, was to see who you knew and who you didn't.
Okay, go ahead. Continue. Mean, but fine.
To be fair, there's some on this list that I also would not recognize at first glance. So
I might surprise you.
We got Yasmine Bleeth.
She's from Baywatch?
She is a Baywatch.
Okay. She is a Baywatch.
She is a Baywatch. She was in all the Baywatches and basketball. So
they talk about Joey and Chandler talk about her on Friends a lot, according to the Wikipedia. So that's probably why I know the name.
Also auditioning for Sarah Jessica Parker.
Oh, that would have been a good fit. She wouldn't have got confused on set.
That's, if you're going to be an actor, really try to find roles with your name, so no one ever calls you.
Approach.
Exactly. We also have Mary Stuart Masterson. I think she's most known for, I know her from Benny and June, but Some Kind of Wonderful, I believe, is what she's most known for. But also the upcoming Five Nights at Freddy's.
Oh, really?
A Jim Henson production.
Who's she playing in that? Aunt Jane.
Freddy.
The role of a lifetime.
I don't even know who Freddy is in that movie. Is it one of the monsters? Is it
yeah.
Okay.
Freddy Fazbear. He's the main one. He's the bear. He's got bear right in the name. She was Idgie in Fried Green Tomatoes. Great movie.
All right. We also had Laura Dern.
Oh, cool.
Star of Jurassic Park and many other things.
Mm-hmm.
Maddie Corman.
Ooh, who's that?
She is somebody who was also in Some Kind of Wonderful, but was also in 7 Minutes in Heaven and a few other things that I didn't recognize. So okay. I'm not going to, rank them fame-wise, but she was the one on this list that I was like, I definitely don't know who you are.
Fair.
But that could be a me thing. Mm-hmm. I'm sure, mid-'80s, they auditioned her for a reason. Carrie Green was another person who auditioned, who I don't know that you're going to know by name recognition, but she does play Josh Brolin's girlfriend in The Goonies, I believe.
Oh, okay.
Rounding out the list, we've also got Laura San Giacomo, who you also will recognize from things like Just Shoot Me or Pretty Woman.
Right.
Mostly Just Shoot Me, I think. It was like what I recognized her from.
Yeah, definitely.
But we also have Ali Sheedy from The Breakfast Club.
Okay.
And Mia Sara from Ferris Bueller. Who now is married to Brian Henson.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So I went to Jennifer Connelly, and Connelly moved to London in February, and rehearsals began in March, where shooting would begin on April 15th, 1985.
Wow. When's it come out? Next year sometime?
Yep, 1986.
Okay.
Which, of course, means we'll be talking about it in March of 2024.
That's fine.
Yeah, it's not that far away.
Yeah.
I'm glad both of us have settled into a nice, comfortable understanding that this podcast really is never going to end.
Yeah. I mean, what else am I going to do?
Right? Imagine if we just raced through all the Muppet things and we were like, I guess we saw some of it.
Yeah.
Success, check. No.
I slept until 10 on Sundays. Whatever. Who cares?
But getting into what we watched this week, first up on January 21st, 1985, The Grapes of Generosity, written by Jerry Jewell and directed by Terry Maskell. It's the one all about generosity and sharing.
And a lot about grapes as well.
A lot about grapes. Surprisingly, normal-looking grapes.
They just are grapes. I think they just went to the store and got some grapes.
Yeah, and there's a placebo effect attached to these grapes of being generous.
Yeah.
But that's not where we start. We start with Doc building a fancy porch chair that has built-in binoculars so he can keep an eye on that shifty Schimmelfinny.
What the hell is that supposed to mean?
Great question, because Schimmelfinny seems like he's endlessly nice to Doc. Yeah. He let him borrow his cat, who was kind of evil. But every time Doc needs something or needs to call somebody for help, Schimmelfinny is there to help.
I think Schimmelfinny has saved Doc's life like at least twice, but I mean definitely one time I can think of. Well, Doc was getting squished by something, or wasn't he? Like, didn't Schimmelfinny like call the police or like call the?
He was like trapped in a hole or under a pipe or something.
So Schimmelfinny probably thinks he needs to keep an eye on Doc, probably for Doc's own protection for the most part, but.
Schimmelfinny's wife is just like, Ned, you can't keep saving this man. You have to let him live his own life.
Look, he's looking at us with binoculars. He lives like right across the alley from us. He's got binoculars.
Or he's squatting in Schimmelfinny's shed. Who knows? Yeah. Because actually this scene is a weird one for Doc lore, because he's insistent that this chair is on his porch of his house.
Uh-huh.
And it is outside the door of his workshop shed, so he definitely is living in that shed.
Yeah. I mean, we've seen him walking around in his PJs in there.
Yeah, and he implied that he was going to shower in there at one point. So
something has changed in Doc's life, because he did in the first episode, he's like, this will be a great workshop, right? Am I imagining that he did that?
I feel like that's what happened. But it's been so long, and Doc has so much random shit going on that I never know what's really going on with him. And I also still gonna ask the question, why are they in this show?
This one was bad for Doc and for Traveling Matt. I feel like this batch of episodes.
We haven't so far in 6 episodes of season 3 seen Gobo have to go get a postcard.
Oh yeah. Well, I thought
He is not.
I think
The Fraggle hole has not been a plot point in 6 episodes.
wasn't there one maybe in the Bells of Fraggle Rock when he comes out and he sees Sprocket and Sprocket sees him and he's just like, "What's up?" That happened.
Did that happen this season? I don't know.
I think it did. But either way, at this point, when that happened, I don't think we talked about it. But when that happened, I thought this plot point has been completely defanged because now he can just say, "Hey, Sprocket, what's going on?" And Sprocket's just like, "Well, I guess I can't kill you. You know my name, and you helped me."
Yeah.
Oh, you know what? It's when I accidentally watched a little bit of the Sprocket's Great Adventure. That's what it is.
So coming up then.
Yes, coming up. Spoiler alert. Coming up, Gobo will walk out of the hole, say, "Hey, Sprocket, what's up?" Grab the postcard and just go back in the hole.
Yeah, I think that's actually season 4. So we've got a little bit of a time to wait for that one. But yeah, it is. It's interesting that, like we've previously discussed, how this plot device, this wraparound thing of Doc and Sprocket, has sometimes seemed pretty useless and unimportant to the show in general. Yeah. And now they're making it less and less important as they go on, where they don't really impact the Fraggles at all. The Fraggles don't have to interact with them if they don't want to. And they're just...
And Sprocket might as well be handing him the postcard at this point.
Yeah, and we only get like 2 or 3 little segments with Doc and Sprocket. And it's always a short check-in. Nothing really has progressed. And then we just dip out. And I'm just keep wondering, why are they here?
The one where he's writing the ad copy. The second one is just him like, I got to try to write this ad copy. And then the third one is him being like, I wrote the ad copy.
Yeah.
Let's play fetch.
I just don't get it.
No good. What is it? What is like... I don't know what the message of any of them really are.
Well, because in this one we have the beginning is Doc yelling at Sprocket because he gets into his chair. Mm-hmm. And he's like, "This is my workshop and my porch and my chair. I made it." Yeah. And it just goes to Fraggle Rock then. We come back in the middle of the episode, and now Doc has taken the chair back and says, "It's mine. I found it. I repainted it. It's mine." And Sprocket's howling. And that's
sad.
it. And at the end... they're sitting in the chair together.
They're just both sitting in the chair.
And they're like, "Now we'll share." And that's it. That's their whole plot line is it probably took them 3 minutes.
Yeah. And also when I watched that part, I thought like the guy playing Doc has to know that like, I don't know, this is not integral to the show.
No.
But
he has a 3-minute story with a dog puppet that's cute, but has no bearing on this TV show.
If they weren't so dang charming, I'd be more like upset about it, but I agree that it is. I feel like there's so many times when you have mentioned like, well, why didn't this happen that affected Fraggle Rock? That's like the kind of seems like the original intent, like the point of the show was like stuff that happens in the Gore Garden affects the Fraggles and vice versa. But it seems so easy for Doc to just be like, "Oh, I dropped another thing in the hole this week. Shoot."
Yeah.
And then the Fraggles are like, "Wow, more stuff from the hole." Or like,
but the idea of him being a tinkerer and having random stuff in his workshop and the Fraggles being able to get their hands on that random stuff, I feel like was something that sort of worked out in the early seasons where it was like, "Oh, I found this ball," or "Hey, I found this thing that fell into the hole." And like, again, you can't do that every episode, but I think you could do it a little bit more.
I wonder if, and this is complete conjecture, if as the show, like as the seasons went on, they figured out different ways that it was easier and harder to tie it in with the international versions. So they had to separate them a little bit more because like people from like England were calling them being like, "Bloody hell, this is so hard. Can you just not do this again?" And they were like, "Okay, I guess so." But yeah, I mean, it's kind of sad. It's like sad in a way, but Sprocket's still like one of the best Muppets. So
well, and like you said, like if they were less charming, I think I would say like, "Dear God, I want to skip past these every time they're on." But because they're charming, Sprocket's very good, especially in this batch of episodes.
It's so fun to watch Doc's hair flop around as he's like, "Ah."
But it's I don't know. It's very interesting that like this is the way this has gone. And like I wonder about the international versions and how much that has played into it.
Yeah. And like knowing that they're in Muppet Family Christmas and so great, it's also kind of like, I love these guys. I know where they're going to end up and I love where they're going to end up. So
working at the bar in Boondock Saints.
Exactly. Getting his cat shot or something, right?
That's not his cat. It's somebody else's cat, I think.
Just some cat.
Yeah. Well, heading down to Fraggle Rock, we start off with some twangy country slide guitar as we transition down to Fraggle Rock, where Gobo's looking for grapes of generosity to share with his friends. And he even says, as soon as he finds them, "Funny how I found these right after Moki read us the legend about them."
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, that is funny. I wonder if that's going to be a plot point that maybe they're creepy. Nope. It's just convenient plot point.
Yeah. Just a bit of a lampshade hanging for no reason. Like, it's like if you heard about like a new book, you go buy the book, you wouldn't be like, weird that I found this book right after I heard about the book. You're looking for it, bro.
Yeah. But I thought maybe these grapes like magically appeared when they were needed, sort of thing. And that's because I felt like that was implied. But that doesn't actually, that's not actually a thing, it seems like.
If the episode had started with Gobo being greedy before he got the grapes, then they could have said, wow, weird that I found these.
Yeah.
But not if he's just looking for them.
Yeah. But they do look just like normal grapes. And
so hilariously. They couldn't put glitter on these grapes or something.
They could have just made like, pink fake grapes or something.
Yeah.
I don't know. But we get a delightful song, a fantastic song from Gobo called The Grapes of Generosity. That's very folksy, funky, Jim Croce kind of song.
Yeah.
And it sounds nothing like Gobo.
Oh.
Jerry Nelson's singing voice in this song is just Jerry Nelson singing a fun song. He's just like, grapes of generosity. And you're like, Gobo? Where'd Gobo go?
Yeah, I feel like he's summoning the littlest hint of maybe Robin more than Gobo, but mostly, yeah, you're right.
Yeah, I think you put a blindfold on and hear that song, you're assuming it's like a Muppet Show song or a Sesame Street song.
Or he's like a farmer on Sesame Street or something.
Right. This is not Gobo Fraggle.
Yeah.
No offense to Jerry Nelson, but you leaned into the performance of the country song more than the performance of Gobo on that one. But still, one of my favorite songs.
It is a really good song that I'm listening to again.
Or just reminding me how bad the Muppet Babies songs are. Well, Gobo makes his way back to the cave, and now he's not so sure he wants to share these grapes of generosity. He hides them from his friends, Moki and Wembley, after Wembley asks Gobo if he wants to go to the messing around cave to mess around.
What is that?
I don't know, but it did sound like a proposition.
Yeah.
And Gobo's like, well, why don't you try messing around by yourself? And he's like, well, that's not as fun.
Yeah.
He's like, why don't you just try it? Give it a try.
Yeah, what is this cave?
It's the messing around cave. It's where you mess around, Sam.
Yep. And he goes to mess around.
I feel like back then, messing around meant even more, like, it implied sex even more than it does now.
I think you're right.
I feel like that's like a 70s thing of like, yeah, these two are messing around.
Messing around. These kids are messing around. I think that he should have gone to the trampoline cave or something, He should have said, let's go
to the bounce cave. It's like, okay. Yeah. But no, the messing around cave did, seem sexually explicit to me.
I thought so too. I don't want to say that, but it's true.
Yeah. Sam, we're journalists. We have to say what we discover. Mm-hmm. We can't hide the truth from our listeners. Yeah. And when we hear about a sex cave, we have to report on the sex cave.
Call it a sex cave because that is what it is. The Fraggles need to have sex. They have to make more Fraggles.
It could also just be like a make-out 7 Minutes in Heaven situation, but regardless, a messing around cave, there's something happening in there. At this point, Gobo is aware of his selfishness, but not doing anything to stop himself other than try to eat more grapes, which I guess seems like a logical choice. Yeah,
it's going to help. It's going to help him.
But to hide his grapes from Moki, he puts them in a big tall hat on top of his head.
He's had it up in all these episodes, isn't he?
Mm-hmm. He's got some good hats. I'm glad he had a grape-sized hat to hide his grapes in. And then he finally hides his grapes in his climbing trophy so that Red doesn't see them. But, Red is organizing an exhibit on athletic excellence for the jock and jockesses picnic. And guess what she wants to borrow, Sam?
The damn trophy.
The damn trophy.
Oh, the jock and jockesses picnics today? Ah, shoot. Worst place to hide your trophy, Gobo.
Also, like, there's a couple times, I will say, loved all these episodes. I think these are great episodes of television. But in this episode, there was a couple times where I'm like, hey, Gobo, there's a quick fix for this one. Well, how about you just say, hey, Red, I'll bring it to you in a minute.
I got to polish it up.
Yeah.
I want it to look nice.
Yeah. And then he could just brought her the trophy. He could have hid the grapes somewhere else. Problem solved.
Gobo ain't that way, though.
Yeah.
I think even if he wasn't going through this, he'd still be like, fuck no, you can't have my trophy.
Well, he kind of does
my
that
trophy.
later on in the episode again, which we'll get to. For now, this is when Moki reveals that the legend says that a Fraggle only becomes more generous when eating the grapes around other people, which I think is a great bit of story building. That one, Moki wouldn't have included that originally,
Yeah.
but two, that we all sort of know what's coming now of like, well, shit, he did the bad thing. We saw him. Especially when she adds that not only do the grapes not make you generous, they also make you weightless when eaten alone.
Sure. I don't know what the metaphor is there, but okay. You're untethered from others, you know?
Yeah, but the
You're-
generosity shouldn't be a tether. That makes it sound bad.
Why? You can be tethered. and part
Tethered
of the
sounds bad to
community.
me.
Okay, you're not.
If I said, like, someone was asking me about this podcast, and I was like, yeah, I'm really tethered to Sam.
Oh, well, yeah, maybe you're right. But if somebody said, how are you keeping your hot air balloon there? I'd say it's tethered. And it's great. So, two sides to the same coin.
I think I think you're right. But I think when it comes to human relationships or Fraggle relationships,
He's
if someone
disconnected.
was
He's
asking about your
aloof.
relationship and you said, yeah, we're surely tethered. We are a tethered couple.
I am tethered to Rachel.
Yeah.
And if she was standing there, she'd go, what the fuck?
What does that
Yeah,
mean?
You're right. Okay.
It's like the light version of ball and chain.
That's true. It's not heavy, but it is keeping you where you are.
After a strange commercial break, it's time for an Uncle Traveling Matt postcard. Because before the
yeah,
commercial break,
right.
little fade out, we see Gobo floating up in the cave, becoming weightless, and then they just cuts to black, and we come back, and we're outside of a grocery store with Uncle Traveling Matt,
Yeah, we're in it.
having no mention of the postcard previously. And he's here to tell us how generous silly creatures are, because you go into these buildings and everybody gets a shiny silver wagon, you fill it with whatever you want, and then you just leave. It's like those Amazon stores. But then he sees the grapes of generosity, an actual tie directly to this episode in the grocery store. And he then walks out without paying. And we see people actually, so I can't tell if they're shocked by seeing him
They never are.
or if they're
just
shocked
mad
by
he's stealing.
Okay, that's what at first I like the way the two people working at the store react to him. I was like, oh, somebody's actually like, who's this little weirdo? But then they chase him down to get the groceries, and so I think they were just shocked he was that brazen in his theft.
I think and even in the real world, I feel like the shock of seeing like basically an alien creature walk into your store would be wear off if he started stealing from your store.
Maybe we'll find out in Project Alf.
I think that happens in the movie Mac and Me. I'm pretty sure that happens, and I think that they shoot at him.
Oh.
So, like I think the grocery store has a security guard with a gun, and I'm pretty sure he shoots at Mac and Me and ends up shooting Mac and Me's child friend. Have you ever seen this movie?
I've only seen the Paul Rudd, Conan O'Brien thing, and then the weird
sure.
McDonald's music video thing.
Yeah, at the end, the child is shot, and Mac and Me heals him E.T. style. So
Yikes! I did not. I knew there was like some ET-ness to it. I didn't realize that was also part of it, which is strange.
yeah.
Well, maybe next year for our birthday we can watch Mac and Me.
That would actually be okay. Maybe the grapes have to look real because of this. Like,
Yeah. Uncle Traveling Matt has to recognize them in the grocery
I
store.
guess he could have said that kind of looks like the grape of generosity.
They have
except
their
they're not
own grapes of
pink."
generosity, only they're green here.
Yeah, we just cracked it. So never mind.
It is, to be fair, easier to use real grapes than to invent fake grapes.
Yeah, that's true.
But then we find out that Gobo has been reading the postcard while floating around the cave,
He sure floats a lot in this episode.
which I think works to varying degrees. When it's just the blue screen Gobo floating around, I'm like, okay. But when we get to see Puppet Gobo start to float, I'm always impressed.
There's a very interesting part, where it like starts on his feet and it kind of like rotates down, and I'm like, how do they do that?
Well, if you notice, he's got a blanket over him during that time. So the blanket is covering Jerry.
Oh, duh.
And Jerry's assistant, whoever was helping him out, presumably with the feet.
Right.
But yes, there's a couple times where, Gobo floats up and like bops his head on the top of the cave. And it's all very convincing, even though I know technically they're always floating.
Yeah, it's just a guy going, "Ooh."
Yeah. Sort of like when Muppets roller skate. You're like, whoa, look at him go. And you're like, There's no roller skates down there.
Yeah, they're just slipping around in their socks or something down there, probably.
Well, we then get to meet Fraggle, who's hanging out with Large Marvin.
We've met Rumple before.
Have we met Rumple before?
Rumple was the one who was betting on stuff with Gobo, or with Boober, and losing.
Oh, is that true?
I looked it up.
Oh.
It's true. He invents gambling.
Right. Well, they are, for some reason, checking in on Gobo because somebody had to see if he was headed to the picnic. But they can't find him because he's floating on the ceiling.
Oh, what a feeling when you're floating on the ceiling.
Wembley comes back to find Gobo sitting with a boulder on his lap. Wembley's worried about him. But Gobo, Gobo reassures him, I like to have a boulder on my lap from time to time.
Yeah, I think it didn't strike me as particularly strange behavior from a Fraggle, but I guess it is.
Yeah, no. I guess maybe Wembley just wants to be involved. He's like, what are you doing with that boulder? I want a boulder.
Yeah.
Can I have your boulder?
He's got post-coitus clarity, and he's ready to use his full mind.
He just got his rocks off, and now he wants to help
He's
Gobo.
Get that rock off of Gobo.
Get that rock off.
Matt.
This is where we find out Red is going to challenge Gobo to a rock climbing contest to get the trophy.
Yeah.
And this is the point where he could just give it to her. The grapes are no longer in the trophy. He hid them up in the cave hole.
Do the grapes make you a bigger asshole or no? Is he just being a jerk?
I think he's just being a jerk with this competitive Red nature where he's like, Red wants my trophy. She can't have my trophy.
She doesn't even want, like now she does, but she didn't even want it before.
No, that's why it sucks as far as like a personality trait, but this is very fitting for both of them.
Yes.
That she's like,
totally.
You won't let me have your trophy from the museum? Well, fuck you. I'm going to go win your trophy fair and square. Yeah. And he's like, I know I have floating disease right now, but I'm going to challenge you.
This is second to the fact that I'm going to crush you.
Right. Which I thought at first he was just going to go out there and be like, look how high I can climb. Whee!
I cheated. And then he really wouldn't learn anything. And he'd just be like, Wembley, from the rest of your life, you will hold this rope. You will hold this tether. And you will fly me around this cave and I will be the most powerful Fraggle of all.
Looking down upon everyone, literally and figuratively.
Yeah.
But instead, Gobo is too stubborn, and he says, Wembley, hand me my boulder, because he's going to the picnic.
Yeah.
But instead of the boulder, we actually get a very cute visual throughout the rest of this episode, which is Wembley wanting to help Gobo by holding him down, and so he just climbs up on his shoulders and spider monkeys onto the back of him, which that happens after Wembley has discovered Gobo floating on his own after he dropped his boulder. And they sing the song, A Friend is a Friend, which is just a cute song about being a good friend that Gobo and Wembley sing together.
One of those two is a good friend. The other, not so much.
Yeah, Gobo's friendship is really like, yeah, Wembley, you're a great friend to me, and I'm here too.
Yeah, now help me a lot. Thank you.
But once Wembley has hopped on Gobo, they go back to the Great Hall, where they find out Red, who was trying to climb to the top of the Great Hall, something no one else has ever done before, is stuck. And really, it's one of those nice Fraggle Rock moments where somebody's in trouble and the person who was kind of being a dick before shows up and has a change of heart and says, you know what? Yeah. I've been selfish. I ate the grapes for myself. I'm going to float up there and help you down.
But if he hadn't ate the grapes for himself, Red would die up there.
Well, but it also wouldn't have happened because he wouldn't have hidden the grapes in the trophy.
True.
So she would have just had the trophy for the museum. So he is also the cause of her problem.
Yeah.
Which they don't dig into, but maybe later they'll have a conversation of like, hey, I wouldn't have even climbed that thing if not for you.
Also a less gripping version of a Fraggle in peril than like suffocating in a cave, for instance.
Yeah.
She's just kind of up there. Nobody really seems that worried about it.
She has jumped from greater heights.
I believe so. I would agree with that.
They have fallen out from of the well.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Matt,
like they've been thrown by Junior Gorg down into the water. So maybe there's just no water right underneath where she was at that moment.
Yeah.
But
that could be.
But we find out, surprise, Gobo knows that being generous gives a Fraggle his weight back. Not sure when he learned that and not sure why he didn't try to do that earlier.
Maybe he read up after he was like, Monkey, are you keeping anything else from me?
Yeah, I need to know every detail of the rest of this legend.
Yeah, don't tell me half of a legend.
Yeah, there's a moral in there somewhere that I'm supposed to know. But that's kind of where the episode ends. And suddenly, Boober's here, and you realize Boober wasn't here for this whole episode.
Yeah, we didn't need him.
Apparently
we don't
not.
always need Boober.
No, Dave Goelz was like, I will be Large Marvin, and that is all.
Yeah.
But they're sharing the grapes and becoming overly generous. Wembley has given Red his shirt, so Red is wearing the banana shirt. And Wembley has Gobo's vest on, and they all start fighting about who gets the last grape.
I guess I don't think this is right, but I interpreted it as them all being afraid that if they weren't perfectly generous, then they would start floating. But maybe that was not the implication.
Oh, no, I took it as the grapes actually worked and made them all overly generous, and so that
Now
they start giving away
magic.
everything.
This episode to me felt like one of those episodes where the same thing happens a couple times. You know what I'm talking about?
Like the
Where
race
it's like-
episode and like something else we talked about recently where it's just like they solve the problem once and then they're like, well, we need another problem to keep this episode going.
Or it's just like Large Marvin and Rumple come in twice to say exactly the same thing, basically.
Yeah.
And there's like an act in between where there is no, like, the story doesn't progress in any way.
Well, you know, if
in
you've got
particular.
Rumple and Large Marvin coming in to interact with the friend group, something's probably gone a little bit wrong.
Yeah, you've lost the plot of it. But I thought this was a fun episode, but it also kind of felt like I wanted to see what this picnic thing was all about. I wanted a little bit more information about, because the jock and jockess picnic, weird words to say that are never like expanded upon. Are they like?
I think it's just male
Is
and
that
female
like royalty
jocks.
or something? Oh, okay. So it's not two particular people. The jock
No,
and
I think it's
jockess.
a celebration of anyone who's athletic in Fraggle Rock. Because I think at one point, Red refers to everyone at the picnic as fellow jocks.
I for some reason thought that these were two people that were just off screen. or
No, I think
something.
it's just like, you know, like you would have those
see.
sports picnic kind of days
yes,
at
where
school.
a big spaghetti dinner for everybody who was in a sport or something like that.
That's not what I was picturing, but I'd rather go to that one.
I think we did that one.
We had like,
I think
athletic days at school where everyone would like go outside and play a bunch of games. And like there was sort of like a sport day.
a field day. if
That's
you
the
will.
word I was looking for, Sam. Thank you. Not jock day or athlete day or whatever.
Anyway, now we can move on. I thought this was just a slight L on Jerry's part, as the kids would say. But
You know,
It was
Jerry
just, like,
Jewell,
pretty normal.
little mid.
yeah,
I take it
was a
back
bit-
immediately.
it was a
Sorry, Jerry
bit-
Jewell.
It was a bit cringe. Is that right?
It probably was a few years ago. But would you rate this episode?
I forgot to. I'll rate it a 2. A 2. It was like a very middle of the road episode, I thought.
Well, I liked it a lot.
That's why God made horse races, Matt. Everybody picks a favorite.
Well, then next up on January 28th, 1985, we have Blanket of Snow, Blanket of Woe. And this is written by P.B. Nickel and directed by George Bloomfield. In this episode, Doc is for some reason in charge of writing ad copy, where, you know, we had him writing articles about cats and giving a talk about fleas. So I was like, yeah, sure, whatever. He writes ad copy now. This is his
Yeah.
job. But it does turn out this is actually related to working at the inn as the assistant manager, where he has to write the ad copy for Miss Ardath as they move into the winter season. Were his other writing jobs about cats and fleas for the inn?
Yeah, like a little newsletter that they put together.
Yeah,
or
Miss
something.
Ardath's like, hey, I need 700 words about cats by tomorrow.
Yeah, I don't know. I was going to say maybe like Schimmelfinny had something to do with it, but he didn't, because he would have said, you can take my cat. Take my cat on the way out for more research, but he did not do that. So maybe he's just a freelance writer.
Maybe. I just feel like
I
we
kind
should
of like
know.
the idea of the newsletter, though. Miss Ardath just like, got to give this guy some busy work or else he's going to start inventing things again, and nobody wants that.
Well, this is an episode all about making and breaking promises. And we find out Doc promised Sprocket that they would play fetch, but he also promised Miss Ardath he would write ad copy. Wah, wah.
Whatever. That's flimsy.
Well, down in Fraggle Rock, Moki is knitting, and at first we don't know what she's knitting, but she decides, I'm done with knitting, I'm bored.
Yeah.
But then Lanford starts sneezing. Turns out this plant got sick because Moki didn't wrap him up last night.
She's just not herself lately.
No, because Red comes in with a twisted ankle, because Moki didn't fix her ice skates.
Why is that Moki's responsibility? But
Also, it feels like something maybe Red should have noticed earlier before going out on the ice. And Red scolds Moki here for being forgetful. Right as Boober stops by to remind Moki that she's supposed to get frozen radishes for his cold fighting soup. And this gets a little sad because Moki says, every time I try to help, all I do is let everybody down.
damn.
And Red says, well, if you want to help, just help. And if you don't want to, just don't promise that you will.
Great advice. Very hard advice, in my opinion.
Yeah. If you want to help, just help is like, yeah, sure. Sounds easy, Red.
Well, I think the rest of it about, not saying you will if you don't feel like
Yes. We very quickly latch on to the point of this episode, which is that Moki is over-promising and under-delivering.
Yeah, she's going to get a bad performance review.
Just a little bit of Boober's food corner. He points out that he originally wanted to make a Doozer stick consommé, but now he's going to make a frozen radish bisque.
Yes, he is progressing nicely.
Mm-hmm. We don't see a lot of his laundry or cooking anymore.
No.
We don't see him doing it that much anymore. Like we used to see laundry constantly, and we would see cooking every now and then. Now it's mostly off-screen activities.
Yeah, we haven't seen a lot of cooking, especially. He was doing laundry with Wembley a few episodes ago, but with the red soap.
Right. But even then, it seems like it's when he's doing these things, which this makes sense because it's a show. He's doing them only to affect the plot in a really direct way, and that's the only part of it we see, as opposed to just like Boober likes to do laundry. Look at him over there doing his laundry.
He's got a good work-life balance now. He's figured it out.
Well, Boober mentions that the big snowfall has come, and Moki remembers that she promised to knit a tarpaulin for the trash heap before the first snow, and she clearly forgot and wasn't finished with it because we saw her give up on her knitting. But for the first time this season, we get to see the Gorgs, as Junior Gorg is up in the snowy garden picking frozen radishes, or trying to. They're stuck in the ground. But instead, they're cooking a goomba with frozen radishes.
Is that a thing?
No.
Okay. I didn't have the moxie to look it up.
Yeah.
I was just like,
outside of the, like, mafia kind of ideas, right. I think it's Mario.
Yes. Okay.
I think this is more of like a gumbo play on words kind of thing.
Oh, that makes sense. Yes. They just kept saying it, and I was like, sounds like they know what they're talking about.
Everyone, time to make a goomba.
A goomba.
It's like, okay. Sadly, we find out, though, Marjorie the trash heap has frozen solid.
Yowza.
Look real dead.
Philo and Gunge are really sad, too.
Oh, yeah, and they blame themselves through song as they sing the song Blanket of Snow, which is where we get the episode's title from. Mm-hmm. And for some reason, even though they're real sad, they're doing a lot of ice skating.
Their ice skating is crazy, and it's kind of just like, I feel like this is the most just like puppety that this show has looked in a long time, maybe. Like,
well, they also is like really want to make sure we see the ice skating.
Yeah.
They show it like 8 times close up to their feet, just going, whoa.
Yeah. That's like, it's the damn ice capades over in Fraggle Rock this week.
It felt like a little bit of a flashback to Emmett Otter, where you're just like, okay, I get it. You can make Muppets ice skate. It's not impressive after the first shot.
At this point, maybe they've forgotten how to make Muppets ice skate.
I don't know. Go back and watch those marionette shots in Emmett Otter, where they're just like, all loose-limbed. I think those look worse than Philo and Gunge do. But they blame themselves because they didn't cover Marjorie with a tarp because they couldn't find their tarp. And this is when Moki admits to them that it's actually her fault.
I didn't make a damn tarp.
And Philo and Gunge are extremely happy to have someone to blame.
Why do she have to? I think she's mentioned she's made other tarps. What's happening to these tarps?
Did she make the past one? I thought the past one was maybe just a plastic normal tarp.
Oh, I don't know.
And she was like, I'll knit you a nice one.
I thought she kind of said, like, I have to make her snowfall tarpaulin, which to me implied that she's made this before, but I don't know if that's the case.
Maybe.
Marjorie's hard on tarpaulins.
I did enjoy hearing the very relatable sentence from Moki saying, I only promised to knit her that tarpaulin so she wouldn't think badly of me. She had no intention of necessarily knitting the tarpaulin on time. I think that was like, in best case scenario, she would have got it done. But the reason she said, I promise I'll do this, is so that Marjorie wouldn't think badly of her.
You can relate to that?
I get it. Someone's like, hey, can you do this? Absolutely. I will do this. Cut to 3 weeks later. Did you happen to get that done? I will get it done tomorrow.
I guess I do it more out of just a grim sense of having to solve everything myself. I would also not make the tarpaulin, though, to be perfectly clear.
Would you have started it?
I would have made the tarpaulin the night before. I would have made the tarpaulin. I would have made the tarpaulin the night before. It could have been better, but it works.
Yeah, see, same. You give me a hard deadline, I will get it done for you. You give me a sketchy deadline of the first snowfall, never gonna happen.
Yeah, when's that?
If you said to me, like, hey, Matt, I need you to make this Photoshop thing for commitment before the first snowfall, I'd be like, okay, I promise.
Yeah.
And then we're gonna be like December 4th, and we're like, it's been snowing for a while, huh? Well, we get to see a quick little aside from the Doozers, where Rich Doozer, which is not really a good Doozer name, is giving Cotterpin a jump start.
Because it's cold?
I guess so. I guess her battery in her little vehicle died because it's cold.
We got a couple weird Doozer cutaways in these episodes.
One is very concerning.
Yeah, I thought so too.
This one just is, thanks for the spark, Rich. And we carry on.
Rich. Rich is kind of a fun name for a Doozer, I think. I think they can be allowed to have like construction worker names too.
That's it. They have to be a Tool or a Bob or a Rich.
Yeah.
Like, all right, Teddy. Well, it's time for Moki to admit what she's done to the rest of the Fraggles. And Gobo is very practical in this moment because Moki's losing it a little bit. And Gobo says, there will be time for guilt later. What are we going to do now?
That's great leadership.
That's great leadership of like, it's happened. It's done. There's nothing we can do to fix that. So what are we going to do now? And, we say, good job, Gobo. But his idea is to turn for inspiration to Uncle Traveling Matt's postcard.
Maybe one of the worst of his postcards ever, also.
Yes. There is the next one, which we'll get to.
Yeah.
In this one, though...
That one's troubling in different ways.
In this one, though, Uncle Traveling Matt is confused by a statue, which doesn't feel like the first time he's been confused by a statue, although maybe it is. It just felt very Uncle Traveling Matt.
Yeah, he's thought of them as alive guys before, I feel like. But I can't remember.
It felt like a familiar concept, but I couldn't put my finger on if he's actually done this exact thing before. And he's going to climb up to talk to the statue, but then sees a lion statue and gets scared and just says, I long for the days of Fraggle Rock where people love each other and take care of each other, which is the only thing that ties back to this episode because Moki goes, we'd love and take care of each other.
So wise. Stupid.
Yeah, very dumb. Because Boober's making that warm soup, Moki goes, what if we dump that soup on the trash
heap? Give me
heap?
that soup, you little loser.
Which they do. They succeed. They go dump the soup on the trash heap, but they only get a finger unfrozen, which the anatomy of the trash heap is a little bit questionable, I would say.
Why? You don't think she's got fingers?
Have we ever seen fingers?
Yeah, I think she's going like this all the time.
Oh, she does have arms, I guess we've seen. I feel like maybe she has had some gesticulation.
She's got to do, like jazz hands every now and then. And she's got the glasses.
You're right. She has hands. What am I thinking?
Yeah. How quickly we forget Marjorie the trash heap, man. We don't see her every week.
Well, thankfully we do get to hear from her as her mouth also thaws a little bit and just says, more soup. And this is another, logical fallacy kind of thing where I was like, hey guys, you could just boil some water.
It has to be soup. I mean,
I don't think it has to be soup.
You do find out at the end that the thing that she doesn't seem to care about being frozen. She just really wants some soup, right?
Well, I think she would have been stuck for a season had she not gotten that soup. But the rest of this episode is like based around the fact that they need soup. That's true. When really I think hot water would have done the same thing. Even if they had said like, we could never boil enough water to thaw her out at this rate. Right. Like that would have been enough to then be like, I guess we got. Or we tried water and it's freezing as quick as we pour it and something. Yeah, we came back up and her finger was frozen again. It's like, this isn't going to work. We need more and fast. But instead they hear the Gorgs talking about making their soup. Ma and Junior are having a delightful time when Pa's not around. I thought so too. They were just having some fun in the kitchen, making a soup together. Mm-hmm. It looked really like sweet. Yeah. I even put my notes as did Pa leave for the weekend? Are they like, oh, thank God, your Pa's on his hunting trip. We get to make our fun soup weekend.
He's in the mess around cave.
But Junior Gorg did apparently carve some Fraggle salt and pepper shakers, which look exactly like Moki and Gobo.
Yeah, they're great salt and pepper.
I don't know why they're not for sale somewhere. Get on it, Henson Company.
It would have been funnier, I think, if they had been pepper grinders and he could have like
Twisted their heads.
Yeah, but I guess maybe Moki would have died at the end of the episode.
Just broken her neck immediately.
Yeah.
It's like, the
What a
plan's
twist.
working. He thinks I'm a pepper.
Oh, Matt, that makes me too sad.
It was your idea.
I know, but I didn't think it through.
This to me felt the most like a video game moment. This felt like Tears of the Kingdom to me, where like you walk up and people are just talking about like, don't get your greaseberry seeds near my soup. That'll make it taste awful, and I'll have to throw it all out in the big old trash heap out back.
Exactly.
And you're like, okay, so I need to get greaseberry seeds, and somehow I need to put them in the soup without them noticing. Got it.
Yes.
Like
exactly.
greaseberry seeds would be bolded in red, and then throw
mission
it in the
log
trash.
Updated. Yeah. Yeah, it was like 2 Metal Gear Solid guards just being like, huh? The ammo's over in that room there. Okay, we better be on the lookout. Yeah.
Now I'm going to walk in this predictable pattern. But we get a nice little song from Ma and Junior called Good Time Goomba Soup, where Ma's just teaching Junior how to make the soup. And they just have a lot of fun popping and locking.
Yeah, they're such good friends.
Yeah, right? Like, that's a good relationship that hasn't always been good, but it's definitely good now, especially when Pa's not around.
Yeah, and Pa is fine. He's more in the Homer Simpson vein of a dad, but he loves him. He loves his boy.
I don't know if it's just because we haven't seen the Gorgs in a while, or just because the sample size we have right now is this episode, but it seems like Pa is less abusive than he has been in the past.
He's mellowed out a bit, yeah. He's even just like, I like this soup, and Ma and Junior are like, well, fuck you, we're gonna dump it anyway.
And he didn't like pour it on Junior or something like that, like he would have in the past, but like, I like this soup, but if you're gonna throw it away, here. Just dumps it on his face.
This is actually my favorite kind of soup. Who cares, old man? Get out of the way.
To be fair, that part it kind of sucks for him. It's like, you imagine that one person in the family who's like, we never get to have pineapple on pizza because I'm the only person who likes it. Nobody else says we can order it. And it's like, you can have your own pizza sometimes. He's like, no, they don't let me.
Yeah. And I was like, I also wrote down like, why does it matter that Pa likes the soup? Like, who cares? I guess it's fine.
It's
like
not important.
But it has nothing to do with anything.
But before that happens, Junior drops the salt and pepper shakers, which gives Moki the idea, because she sees the thing that looks exactly like her and goes, oh, I could do that. And so they're trying to get these greaseberry seeds into the soup. Luckily, Moki is wearing a second sweater underneath her normal grayish green sweater, because that way she's able to take off her grayish green sweater without being fully nude.
I mean, would it be weird if she was fully nude, even though she is fully nude under her thing?
I think it would be weirder.
Yeah, I guess
if she suddenly was like, Gobo, turn around, I have an idea. And she like stripped off her clothes and went and stood on the table.
Yeah,
like,
I suppose so.
Like, I even found it a little bit odd when in the last episode at the end, when Wembley had given Red his shirt.
Yeah.
Wembley's then wearing Gobo's vest, but without a shirt underneath it. And that looked weird to me. I'm just like a Fraggle just rocking a vest with no shirt.
Yeah.
We got to get back to Doc, of course, in the middle of all this drama.
Vital.
So we go back, and Doc's still writing copy. And this turns out it's bad copy to promote the winter sports side, or at least, coming to the inn for the winter. And then we just fade away from Doc.
Doc, we're just going to leave you to it, bud.
Yep. And we go back to Moki, who is now getting shaken into the soup and drops in the greaseberry seeds. And I just had the realization, Sam, this is why Doc and Sprocket exists. They need a transition. They don't have one. They don't want to film like, okay, how do we make Moki climb up on a table? Oh, that's going to be hard. What if we just cut away and we cut back and Moki's on the table in the place of the salt shaker?
So they could have also just had Gobo be like, wow, Moki, you're doing a great job climbing.
That is true. They did make a Fraggle float in the last episode, so they're clearly capable of making a Fraggle climb a table, but I could see them using it as a Band-Aid to solve some problems.
Sure, yeah.
And this is when Junior tastes the soup. It's horrible. Pa has been upstairs the whole time, comes down. He actually likes the greaseberries and thinks it tastes good, but Ma doesn't care.
Nobody cares. Yeah. Nobody asked you, Pa.
Yeah. So Ma orders Junior to go outside, take the soup. But remember that slippery ice from earlier? Whoa. He almost, but doesn't, fall while carrying the soup.
Being almost is like, okay, what's the point of this part too?
But he does sort of fall and stumble his way towards the trash heap, dumping all of the soup onto the heap. I kind of like the problem solving in this episode.
Like it's a satisfying series of events.
Yeah, just like Gobo and Moki having to solve that video game like puzzle and figuring out like how to get it done. And it didn't feel as like, obviously there's a lot of things that have to come together and work in a certain way to make a plot work. But in this, it didn't feel as forced. Like it felt like they used some actual clever thought to make it happen.
It was extremely lucky about the salt and pepper shaker.
There's a lot of very lucky things that they were happening to be making soup at the same time. They had those salt and pepper shakers. There's a lot of convenient things to make this plot work, but I don't feel like we often get to see this sort of like multi-step problem solving from the Fraggles.
I liked this episode, but like I said in my summary, when I went back to summarize it, I was like, how did that take so long? And then I skimmed back through and I'm still kind of like, how did they fill up a whole episode just with that? Yeah,
I think to me, personally, it didn't feel like a Muppet Babies situation where they had to stretch for time. But when you do recap it, it doesn't sound like something that should have taken 25 minutes.
Yeah, they just spent a long time talking about that soup, I think is most of it.
I also like how brave Moki and Gobo are. They're not hesitant at all about going into the Gork's castle.
Moki's too optimistic to be scared of anything, and Gobo's too proud.
That's true.
I give this one, let's say, 3.5 stars. Is that what I do?
Yes.
3.5 doozer stars.
Well, then lastly, we have the February 4th, 1985 episode, Pebble Pox Blues, written by Laura Phillips, directed by George Bloomfield. And guess what, guys? It's time for Sprocket's Checkup.
I like that they keep the in this season at least, I don't know if it's an accident or what, but like the season is the same for multiple episodes. Like it's been cold for a long time.
But I will say, Doc says something about winter's on its way when he is bundled up.
Yeah, you're
and we already had Christmas, folks.
It's already been Christmas. You're right.
So I'm not too sure. I think generally, yes, it's nice to have the snowy, wintry vibes together. But like we had a Christmas episode and then a snowy episode and then an episode where Doc's like, winter's on the way.
Yeah, a very easy script problem to circumvent by not having him say that line. By saying, it's still winter. Brr.
And maybe there is something to the production order that changed as they were putting these together. For instance, we know the Bells of Fraggle Rock shows up later if you're looking at Apple TV Plus of like when it is. So maybe that was a thing that was pushed forward in the season so that it could air on Christmas. Who knows? But it is time for Sprocket's trip to the vet to get all of his shots. But Doc is on to Sprocket, who's trying to hide and pretend he's asleep so he can avoid the vet. And that's pretty much what's going to happen with them in this episode.
You can kind of take it from there, can't you, folks?
Down in Fraggle Rock, Boober is grossed out because Morty Fraggle sneezed in his face.
Horrible. These Fraggles, how are they keeping alive?
Well, Morty Fraggle might have died. Who knows? Because we never get to see
That's true.
Morty Fraggle before or after this. We will never see a Morty Fraggle.
Boober walks in shaking his head. He's like, Morty, poor Morty.
Yeah.
Covered in post-mortem.
Post-Morty.
Post-Morty. Oh, no.
Maybe the next batch of episodes will feature Morty's funeral.
Post-Morty is a great name for a children's movie about a zombie, isn't it?
Yes, it is. I wasn't on board until you got to the end of that sentence. I was like, oh no, where's this going?
Or a ghost. I guess he could be a ghost too. Post-Morty. And he's like, it's just a ripoff of Casper. We're just making Casper again.
Well, getting back to this plague that is ruining Fraggle Rock, Gobo is sick with a fever, and he has Pebble Pox symptoms, which means his fur feels frizzy, his teeth are ticklish, and he has a tail ache.
I was scared we were going to see Wembley's teeth later on in this episode, which would have been kind of cool, I guess. But what if he had been like, okay, let's look at my teeth, and they were sharp? Wouldn't that be scary?
They just have fangs?
Yeah.
That'd be amazing.
Yeah. Like a full, like, dog teeth.
I hate it.
I think Convincing John has teeth, though. So
but he got, like, Muppet teeth. You're saying, like, a human teeth, dog
and
teeth
those
situation.
Might be like Uncle Baby Billy fake teeth, kind of, you know?
Well, we found out Pebblepox is the most contagious disease a Fraggle can have, and Boober is terrified of catching it. And Gobo
Fair.
doesn't think it's a big deal.
Bobo doesn't give a shit.
It's fine. It's a natural part of life. We all get sick, guys.
It hits so different.
It's real different 40 years
so
later.
Mad at him. Yeah.
Yeah, no,
Fucking
definitely
asshole.
we have an anti-mask, anti-vax underlining here from
Yeah.
Gobo, which is unsettling, especially in some of the ways the episode resolves itself.
I don't understand the lesson of this episode exactly, but yeah.
And while it hits different now because, the COVID thing is what we're talking about, everyone.
Yeah.
Remember that thing that's still happening? You have to, historical context. This is the mid-'80s. AIDS is happening. People are worried about that. People are worried about this extremely contagious disease that is out there. And it's both weird to think about this episode now in 2023, and it's weird to think about it in the context of when it was coming out and the way that they are talking about this extremely contagious thing and how they're saying it's not that big of a deal.
Yeah.
It'll be
don't
fine.
Be afraid of getting sick. And I guess the only conclusion I can draw is that they were being like thoughtless, like as in they didn't think about that aspect of it. Saying don't be scared of getting sick is like,
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's a
even
weird
divorced
time.
from any historical context. It's a weird thing to say.
It's a weird time to put that message out there in the world,
But
both
yeah,
in the
especially-
mid-'80s and now in the 2020s.
Yeah. So yeah, weird. It casts a weird pall on this episode for me.
But throughout most of the episode, it feels like the episode's going to land on the right side of things.
Yes.
Because we have Boober running around, terrified of getting sick. He runs into Wembley and talks to him about going to get the Dugan berries, which cure Pebblepox, but they're only in the Cave of Shadows. And Boober is determined to stop the spread of germs.
Duganberries sounds a lot like dingleberries.
It does a couple times when they say it. I'm like, come on, guys, you knew what you were doing. But this is one of the points where Gobo says, Pebblepox is just one of those challenges life has to offer.
What the fuck, dude?
Yeah, and
He's
get
running
like
he's running for Congress in Texas.
it's the RFK Jr. of Fraggle Rock right to here.
Yeah.
I think it's just, again, it's very interesting to watch in both contexts because you have this idea of, I think what the episode is saying is that Pebblepox is like chickenpox or the common cold or something. And that like,
right.
you get it, you go through it, you keep living your life. It's a story you talk about later on.
Yeah.
Not a big deal.
Yeah.
But we're seeing the episode from the perspective of Boober, who is telling us this is the most contagious disease a Fraggle can get. We get hints that Wembley is dying at some points in the episode.
He says, I'm dying.
Multiple times.
Yeah.
And so I think for us, it's sort of like, okay, do we have an unreliable narrator in Boober and that this actually isn't a big deal?
Yeah.
And we also shouldn't be worried and we should be thinking, oh, Boober's overreacting to this scenario.
Yeah.
Or do we follow and believe Boober and we think Gobo's the jerk?
The message of the episode, I guess part of it, like they literally say, I'm not afraid of getting sick. Boober says that.
And
to say
I think
that
that's
in
where the
middle
problem
of it,
lies.
Yeah. Kids are like watching the news about like a in progress, huge public health crisis. And then also watching their favorite show and hearing, I'm not afraid of getting sick.
Yeah, which again, I think you can handle this in a way where you can talk about sort of the hypochondriac fear side of things of like, this fear of getting sick when maybe it's not always a realistic threat. But when there are realistic threats out there and you're teaching kids not to be, it's just, it's so mixed in what it wants to say that I think it just becomes kind of mushy. So even when it does land on a certain side, at the end of the episode, you're like, how did you get there from here?
Yeah.
But then Gobo himself takes it a little bit seriously because he's suddenly covered in red dots. And that's the first time when he's like, shit, I didn't know that was going to happen. This part kind of sucks.
Then it's also like, take care of me. I'm baby.
He does quickly become baby in a way that is very funny when you don't think about the fact that he might have died.
Yeah.
But then we get a song from Boober, trying to make Wembley appropriately scared of germs and contagions by singing Talking About Germs.
And some little freaks come out and start flying around.
We get some good creepy germ puppets floating around, presumably in their mind's eye, not actually giant germs.
So, yeah.
And now, after the song, Wembley feels sick and has Moki eyelids.
Yeah.
That's how you show him he's sick.
That's how you show Moki's high as fuck and how you show Wembley sick.
I guess there is some, a thing you could draw from this, where Wembley doesn't get sick until Boober tells him that he could get sick.
True.
That lines up with the Gobo side of the argument of, well, if you don't talk about getting sick, you won't get sick. I'm not saying it's a good message. I'm saying that does align with what they say in the episode.
Yeah, that's true.
But Boober is keeping his distance socially from Wembley at this point, standing on the other side of a cave. And up in Doc's world, he's still trying to reason with Sprocket. And this is when Miss Ardath calls to say that her Airedale Marigold is sick and afraid to go to the vet and hiding under the porch of the inn. And Sprocket goes, oh, well, if there's ladies involved.
What a weird thing to call your employee about. I guess he's supposed to go down and get her. Is that what the...
Yeah. And also, she's the one who offers up, maybe Sprocket could come by and lure Marigold out of there.
Sure. Yeah. It would just be funny if I called you and I was like, my cat's scared. And then you were like, my dog's scared. We can help each other.
I'll bring my dog over. But down in Fraggle Rock, Boober lays it all out on the line, says, if I run away, I'm a coward, but if I help him, I risk being exposed to his germs. And he's not sure what to do.
I'm not sure what to do either.
I think we've all, not to get real, but in the past few years, had moments like this from everything from actually, getting groceries for friends to getting an invite to a party where you're like, I guess I do want to see people, but do I want to expose myself to germs?
Yeah.
Just another way this episode hits a lot different than it would have 4 years ago.
Yeah.
Well, Red is taking care of Gobo because Gobo become baby. And he's just the saddest, sickest guy you've ever seen. But in that way that people make jokes about dads being completely useless.
Man flu.
Yes, exactly.
He has got man flu big time.
But Red is having to give him pillows and take pillows away and fluff up the pillows he does have.
She's being really nice.
Mm-hmm. But he's also now completely switched gears and says, I don't think you realize how serious the Pebble pox is. And so now...
Yeah, if this had been focused on him learning something, but I feel like in the end he's still sick and they're just like, you're being a dick and I guess Boober's going to make you better and there's no, you're not even going to say thank you probably.
Well, he's also convinced at this point that the Pebble pox is the worst thing a Fraggle can get, and also he has the worst case that a Fraggle has ever had. Red mocks him for being overdramatic, but he doesn't catch on that that's what's happening. But when she offers up, hey, well, don't worry, Boober's going to be back here soon with medicine, he says, medicine? I'm not taking any medicine.
What a dickhead.
And that's when we find out the true anti-vax sentiments behind Gobo Fraggle.
I'm going to kick him across the room if I ever see him.
Now, do we think that, like chicken pox, the reason Red is able to take care of Gobo in this is because she says she had the pox last year?
Oh.
And so she's, I guess, not at risk to get it?
But then how? Yeah, I mean, and then maybe they were prepared with the cure last year? At the beginning of the episode, it seems like a big surprise that anybody would have.
Yeah. No, I think she implies that she had it last year. And that it was fine.
Pick a lane episode.
Yeah, I don't know if it knows what it wants to say. Because we then cut back down to Boober and Wembley, where Boober is using his scarf as a mask when he goes back to talk to Wembley.
Yeah.
And Boober's freaking out a little bit, but Wembley tries to reassure him and say, Boober, don't be afraid. It's not you who's going to die.
That's a really nice thing to say.
I guess. You don't need to worry. I'm the one who's going to die. Yeah, we even get that reiterated. Boober is like, he's going to die.
Yeah.
And then Wembley says, the germs have got me, and I'm so scared.
Oh my God. I forgot about that line.
He stares into the camera when he's saying these things too. He's staring at us and he's like, no, you don't understand. I'm about to die in front of you.
Do you think that it is the implication of the episode that Boober is the one who did this to him, or no?
I don't know if there is an implication, because the only thing they say is that he may have gotten the germs off of Gobo's map that he borrowed from him.
Right.
So
right.
I think the episode is not saying too much in any direction, but I think it's probably just the chicken pox common cold kind of thing of like, Gobo got it, and then it was on his maps that he gave to Wembley, and so now Wembley got it. Back with Gobo, though, Moki is telling a story about how she turned her Pebble pox into a gratifying experience and is trying to get him to really appreciate his pox. But instead, Gobo is like, hey, how about you read this postcard and distract yourself from what you're trying to tell me right now? And what we get is quite the distraction, because it's Uncle Traveling Matt.
She's never going to be able to think about anything else ever again.
It's Uncle Traveling Matt telling a short story, extremely short, of how he fell in love with Bessie the cow.
It's a fetching cow. She's got great headwear.
Got a flower crown because it seems to be part of a Swiss cow parade.
Yeah.
And he starts off by saying, hubba hubba, towards the cows as they walk by.
It's a very interesting parallel to Gonzo.
Yes.
You know?
Dave Grohl's characters just fall in love with farm animals.
Farm animals, for sure, yeah. But there's no like previous inclination of his that he would think a cow was sexy, I feel like. But
and there's no point to this postcard whatsoever.
There's not. It's just a disturbing glimpse into the lonely mind of an old man.
We'll have a bit more of that coming up in our Muppet of the Week this week.
Oh.
Well, Wembley has the pox now as well. He has got the dots all over him. And Boober decides to give up and let the germs take him as he yells out, "This is the day you've all been waiting for. Come and get me." And as a part of that, he has decided he's going to carry Wembley to the Cave of Shadows with him. I don't know why he doesn't just leave him behind, but he needs to carry Wembley so that he's putting himself at risk for the germs.
Yeah.
And carries him to the not at all scary Cave of Shadows.
It's nice and pleasant in there, actually.
It has all the plants Boober wants to fight infection and fever, and the Duganberries to make the Duganberry tea. And, everything's going great, except Wembley is still pretty sure he's going to die. And yeah, they get back to the cave with the cure. There should be a big celebration, but how the episode actually ends is Boober surprisingly landing on the side of Pebble pox just being a natural part of life. And he's no longer afraid of getting sick.
Go to medical school, Boober.
And we see everyone getting sick, including the Doozers, who wheel a couple of Doozers by on hospital beds with IVs. And they look real sick.
It looks bad, yeah. I hope they share the cure with
Exactly.
the Doozers.
Are they going to keep it or, charge them ridiculous amounts of money?
Ooh, yeah.
How terrible are the Fraggles going to be to the Doozers?
Now we're learning a new lesson about...
Big Pharma.
Big Pharma, yeah. Dr. Boober's in the pocket of Big Pharma.
If we had episode titles, I think that'd be the title of this episode. But back with Doc and Sprocket. Sprocket was brave in not only helping to get Marigold out from underneath the porch, but he also got his shots at the vet. And he seems fine, except his butt is sore.
His ass hurts. My ass.
So
ow, my ass.
Doc has to give him a little pillow for his sore butt.
His hiney.
But what would you rate that episode, Sam?
I just think it's like a pretty well done episode, and I like the song and the little viruses flying around. And like, I can understand how if you didn't put any thought into what you wrote at all,
yeah,
that you would be like, this is a great episode I wrote. I mean, I guess I would give it like I would give it like a 4 if we were just talking about like the production of the episode, because I think it was great. But maybe like a 2 if we're rounding out for the horrible message of the episode.
Yeah, I think it just is so muddy in what it's trying to say. And if it does land anywhere, it lands in a not great place of just don't worry about it. You'll be fine.
Wembley has some terrific moments in this episode, I think, though. When he is dying and like there's like a part where Boober's like cradling him as he is expiring. That is like neat. And I really like Wembley. So it's like a good Wembley episode, but not a good episode. And Uncle Matt wants to have sex with a cow.
Which is maybe the highlight of the episode. Well, that must mean, Sam, that it is time for our Muppet of the Week. This week's Muppet of the Week, Uncle Traveling Matt.
Wow, I haven't talked about that guy yet. Huh?
Surprisingly, no. I multiple times during this research, I stopped to make sure that we hadn't because it just felt like something we would have done before Pa Gorg. But no, we have not talked about this explorer of the Fraggles, the one who has decided to venture out to outer space to meet the silly creatures and report back to Fraggle Rock via postcards that he sends to his nephew Gobo. During his travels, we see him often quite clumsy and getting most things wrong. I think, we know that as humans. The other Fraggles don't necessarily know he's getting everything wrong.
He's a genius. Well, actually, half of them hate him.
They at least think he's boring. I don't know if they think he's wrong about everything, but they definitely question his judgment.
Right.
And maybe prose. Dave Goelz has said that the 3 character flaws that define Matt's personality are his misperceptions, his clumsiness, and his denial of his first 2 flaws.
He's also a horrible father.
Uncle Traveling Matt?
Yeah, because he tells Gobo he can't be a juggler and gives him a complex.
That's what uncles do. He's not a father. He's an uncle.
I guess you're right. Held to a different standard.
Yeah. Dave Goelz said in an interview, the original concept for him was that he went out and misinterpreted everything and then sent postcards back that we saw on video where he described the outside world in a distorted way. I just didn't think it was very funny, so I started adding 2 other components. I started adding clumsiness, so he was also physically an inept explorer, and then I added this emotional disconnect, so when he wrote back to his nephew, he would say, I decided to leave the shop, but in actuality, you see him being drop-kicked out of the place and flying through the air and hitting a wall. That aesthetic started to become part of the material, and it was written in as we developed it.
Okay. So that's probably a good call on his part, but also making him into an idiot makes his postcards even more confusing, kind of.
Well, that's the thing is, he was still supposed to be kind of an idiot. He was supposed to misinterpret things, but he didn't have the clumsiness and the, complete misinterpreting of, the example of I left the shop as he's being thrown out.
Yeah.
Slight spoilers here. When he was young, Matt was raised by his uncle Gobo.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. And Matt also discovered the Gorg's garden and radishes.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is interesting. It seems like it's not very far away from where they are, but I guess Fraggles maybe are homebodies.
Yeah, we'll learn more about that pretty soon.
Okay.
Later in season 3. And apparently, this is according to Muppet Wiki, as the series progressed, the number and frequency of Matt's postcards decreased. And as Jerry Jules said, that it was... Jerry Jules said that it was often a challenge for the writing staff to incorporate the postcards into the script and to fit them in naturally, which I think we've seen, and to fit them with the theme of the episode. So this led to episodes in which the postcard is read out of the blue, which we definitely saw. Even in season 2, we were already seeing that.
Right.
And so in season 4, something big is going to happen that I don't want to spoil for anyone who doesn't know yet. But
okay, I don't know. Yeah.
There will be a shift. And that's all I'll say.
Okay. Huh.
Uncle Traveling Matt debuted in 1983 with the rest of the Fraggles on the first episode of season 1 of Fraggle Rock. His main performer has been, apparently will always be, it is Dave Goelz. From 1983 until today, Dave Goelz is Uncle Traveling Matt. In 2020, Dave Goelz reprised the role of Traveling Matt in the web series Fraggle Rock Rock On, which was the precursor to Back to the Rock. And now, in Back to the Rock, Goelz is still doing the voice of Uncle Traveling Matt, but with other performers doing the remote segments. So Kevin Clash, actually, did it for some of the episodes, and Frank Meshklet also did some episodes. And for their Christmassy special they put out, Night of the Lights, John Tartaglia once again puppeteered Uncle Traveling Matt for that one. The animated Uncle Traveling Matt for the animated series that we are, quickly approaching, he was voiced by Patrick Pinney, who we've mentioned before because he was also the animated voice of Pa Gorg and Flange Doozer. And when I mentioned him last time, I also mentioned that he is most famous for voicing Painty the Pirate in SpongeBob SquarePants. Obviously, as we've mentioned, Uncle Traveling Matt has some family members. He's got Gobo and Gobo, of various ages. I don't know beyond those two if we get to meet any other Gobo family members. But interestingly, Muppet Wiki notes that Uncle Traveling Matt is the only Fraggle who makes solo cameo appearances in other Muppet productions without the Fraggles around him. He shows up in Muppets Take Manhattan at the wedding. He apparently, which we did not see, and I don't know if this is something I just missed because it's in German, and so we haven't found all of the foreign clips. But he apparently was on a German TV show in 1984 promoting the Muppets Take Manhattan. They used him to promote the movie.
Whoa.
I think with the German performer, like the German voice of Uncle Traveling Matt. I'm not entirely sure. I haven't seen this clip.
Sure. I guess that kind of makes sense if they didn't want to fly somebody out to Germany.
I guess. And if Fraggle Rock was big there, yeah.
Yeah, right.
But we also saw him and Sprocket in the People's Choice Awards clip where everyone was backstage.
Right.
And in 1985, the year we are in currently, he will be the only Fraggle Rock character with the Muppets on the Night of 100 Stars, which we'll be talking about in an upcoming episode.
Wow. They're committed to the bit.
Mm-hmm. And in 1986, he will be in The Muppets, A Celebration of 30 Years with Sprocket.
And he's the only Right. What the heck? I guess they're hidden down there.
Yeah. I kind of like that they don't do that. Or when they do, they're always together. Like Gobo, aside from that one CBC interview we saw with like Proto Gobo on Jim Henson's hand, like we don't see just like one character pop up doing a thing.
Yeah. Then there certainly isn't the same amount of like confusion about like the canon of the Fraggles,
right.
At least at this point.
Yes. Uncle Traveling Matt is supposed to be out amongst the humans, so that also makes sense.
And it makes the Fraggles seem like they're real.
Mm-hmm. And we will see him and the Fraggles in A Muppet Family Christmas in 1987. And bizarrely, the weirdest fun fact about Uncle Traveling Matt is that he made an illustrated appearance in Volume 1 of the Return to Labyrinth manga series.
Whoa.
Where he is at a dance asking if they have any radishes. But that about does it for the information we have on Uncle Traveling Matt. So Sam, what would you rate Matt?
He's just so freaking annoying. But I guess I have to take into account that he's supposed to be freaking annoying.
Yeah.
I think he's genuine. Like, he's frequently the weakest part of the show, and that is not on purpose, I feel like. But it's funny that everybody hates him. I guess I'll give him like a 6, maybe. A 5.5. A 5.5. He's fine.
All right. Well, I'm going to give him a 7 because that's my name. And as a kid,
I forgot about that.
I had an attachment to him because that was my name. And also, I was an uncle at quite a young age. So.
But didn't you? He's a horrible role model, though.
Maybe I'm a horrible uncle. You don't know.
You telling your nephew he can't be a juggler?
Knowing my nephew, I would say he could, but I don't think it'd be a natural inclination for him.
See, I hope he doesn't hear you say that.
I can guarantee you he won't. Also, I guess I should have mentioned, because Muppet Wiki notes it, and it is interesting because we had the gobo, like what a gobo is when we were talking about gobo. A traveling mat is a technique used in television and film where you insert a foreground object into a pre-recorded background image. So, in this, they do it sometimes with some of the underground caves or the Gorg's Garden scenes where it's like they're blue screening them onto the background. But you also think about it with certain Star Wars ships and things where they have multiple things they've filmed that interact. And there's like 8 layers of filmed ships flying next to each other. And you don't notice there's 8 layers of film there.
Is it called a traveling mat because it allows you to travel wherever you want to?
I think it is traveling.
Oh, okay.
Maybe. I don't really know. I didn't get that deep into it. Other than that's his name.
It is because it is mats that are required to change to mask shapes of moving objects. So the traveling, yes, you're basically, it's like the traveling is like what is matted is moving. So the mat is moving. And I guess traveling is a weird way to say that, or that could not be the real reason because it's on Wikipedia. So still, nobody tell me if I'm right or wrong. I, like Gobo, do not want to learn anything this particular week.
Well, Sam, did you have any time to enjoy any non-Muppet things this week?
I read a book. I read No Country for Old Men again. It was a book I already read. And then we went to like a book club and saw the movie too, which I'd already seen. That's a movie that I wish I could have not read the book first, because in my opinion, the book is so much better than the movie. And the movie like loses like the kind of the message of the book, which is a sad message, but still like it like lets some of the characters off a little easier than that, in a way that kind of makes things lose their meaning a little bit. I think it's a fine movie and it's it's like I was surprised how much laughing people were doing in the theaters because it's also kind of a grim, horrible movie. But it's it's
the Coen brothers, so
they're gonna make it goofy.
Yeah.
But have you ever read that book?
No, I've seen the movie. I have not read the book.
It's a breezy, very like tense read that is very easy to like burn through really fast. And I like the way it's written. But Rachel said that if I were a Ken in Barbie, that how like there's the one who's like where he's talking about like
The Godfather
Stephen
or whatever.
Malkmus and Stephen Malkmus, yeah, or Stephen Malkmus and The Godfather, yeah. I would be saying like, oh, Cormac McCarthy's writing, so you just have to like really lose yourself in
That's
it.
your Ken.
Because she's like, this is the most dude book I've ever read in my life, and I'm not going to talk to you about why it's good because I didn't like it, but I think that's a great book. I love that book. How about you?
Still watching Ahsoka. Still watching Only Murders in the Building.
Yeah, I've been watching that too. I kind of like that show.
Ahsoka?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just like kind of like how specific and weird all the characters are. I feel like they're kind of, since they were cartoons first, they're kind of out there for like a Star Wars main character to be like a green lady. And I like the green lady.
Yeah, no.
Or lots of people with tentacles on their heads. And I think if they had made the show and it hadn't been a cartoon, they would have said, yeah, we just won't put tentacles on their head. They'll just be a guy. That's fine. But I like that they're not just a guy.
Mm-hmm.
And that one kid had green hair.
That's Jason. Jason Sindula. I think those are things that they've done well in the Clone Wars cartoon of Rebels, is like building out the other species of the Star Wars world. Because for so long, in most Star Wars things, Twi'leks are only seen as sexual characters, like almost as sex workers in a lot of content. And so having Hera come in as this like general and a pilot and a badass,
cool.
It was one of those things where sort of like, okay, we're going to change the image of Twi'leks in Star Wars.
Her very specific hat makes me laugh, though. Her helmet.
If we're talking very specific hats, we have to talk about Ahsoka's spacesuit.
Oh, yeah, that was so funny. It was sewing around her tentacles. Why bother?
Yeah, there's one point in Clone Wars, I think, where she does a similar thing where she's out in space with her lightsaber, but she just has like a big helmet that goes over everything. It's not like perfectly sculpted. I'm like, oh man, if you like gain a pound, that spacesuit is not going to fit your head.
If your tentacles gain a pound or grow at all.
They do grow throughout your life. I'm assuming they stop at some point, but Star Wars is good.
Really bored,
I like Star Wars.
She had a lot of time. Mm-hmm, me too.
Give me all the Star Wars, even if it's not always the best Star Wars. Well, before we go, we want to let you know what we'll be watching next time. And guess what? We already did that at the beginning of the episode. Weren't you listening? That's right. We're watching Project Alf from 1996 and The Blues Brothers from 1980. You can. We mentioned where you can find those things on various streaming platforms, some on YouTube in regards to Project Alf. If you don't know where some things are, like these more legitimate movies, as opposed to like random German TV show appearances, you can usually find them if you go to the website justwatch.com and search things there. That website is very useful to tell you what streaming platforms have the thing you're looking for. Even if you have to pay for it to rent it, it'll tell you that too. But you can find out where to watch anything you want to watch on justwatch.com.
And if you have Letterboxd, it has Just Watch built into it.
Yeah.
So you can also go to a movie in that app and see where it's going.
Yeah. Very, very helpful website when you're trying to watch old movies that you don't own.
And you don't want to break the law.
Don't break the law unless it's a random episode of Sesame Street that gets removed from YouTube immediately after you talk about it.
Yeah, then it's righteous.
Belongs in a museum.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we need to thank our friend Tuna for making the music for this podcast and Cassie Wilson for singing our theme song. Don't forget to go to commitment.com or commitmentstuff.com if you want to pick up some commitment merch. You can also contact us at mail@commitment.com or anywhere on social media at commitmentpod. And you can follow me on the internet at Matthew Gatos.
And I'm Sam Schultz.
And as always, keep believing.
Keep pretending.